Richard Brown, HR Director with the Citizen Potawatomi Nation in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
And I'm Joe Nelson, and I'm with Catholic Charities. I teach self-sufficiency to the Afghanistan refugees or any of our refugee department people. But most recently, I've worked in employment development in partnership with COWIB and also Citizen Potawatomi Nation.
Excellent. So I know that there were some common struggles between the two of you, between Citizen Potawatomi Nation and also Catholic Charities. So can you share some information about what those struggles were and how everything got connected?
Thanks, I appreciate that. So the biggest overwhelming thing that we had to fight with is we had 231 primary applicants, all seeking work immediately. They began to arrive, the Afghans, in September of 2021, but the last arrival was February the 14th of 2023. So as we turned into May and June, as the school year closed, people were getting antsy. The housing was a big accomplishment for us, but I started reaching out to folks, trying to find out if there was any locations that were interested in hiring a large number of people. It's always easier to work smarter rather than harder. From that point, I was put in touch with your offices here, and we had a great meeting, and everyone was on time. And after a few weeks, we met with Citizen Potawatomi Nation, and they expressed an interest in filling. They at the time had 75 positions that were available, and so we certainly thought that was a valuable asset. We just had to work out some kinks, and I think it's been a very successful partnership.
And so do I. I think the main thing for us was going to be how can we overcome this language barrier. Of course, we needed employees, and with the way the labor market has fallen lately, being able to find those employees has been a tough job for us in HR and recruiters, not only at the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, but across the United States. So we're looking for sources, sitting down, visiting with the executive director of COWIB, Ashley, telling me about a group of refugees that the Catholic Charities had and was looking for work for them. I thought maybe we could make that work if we could work out the logistics of being able
Absolutely.
to bring them to work to Shawnee from Oklahoma City, and also if we could overcome those language barriers. Since then, we've figured out some answers to some of those problems, and I tell you what, I think it's been a good fit for us and for Catholic Charities. So just goes to show what a little bit of effort can do when you're looking to solve problems. So
I think it's worthy of mentioning that, in life there are struggles, there are always oppositions. I mean, there are red lights. Every time you want to go to a green light, you need to wait a little bit. I don't consider that all bad, in the direction of business. Sometimes in my personal life, I choose to take the road less traveled, but the problem is with these refugees, they needed work. And I want to say that, from a perspective that Citizen Potawatomi Nation not only stepped up and considered and then provided transportation for their shifts, but more importantly, it's my understanding that they are working on having English taught to these folks, English as a second language, as they call it, ESL, during their lunch breaks and during their regular breaks. So I have to say that the immersion of someone into a language they're not familiar with is important, but for your partner in that development to be your employer is huge. It's a great win for Potawatomi Nation, but more importantly, we're actually at a point now where we have a lot more refugees that are feeling like they want to work for Citizen Potawatomi Nation, but because we have to set up the right tools, so we don't have a train wreck. And that's what I really respect about working with CPN, because I don't mind being patient, but the best part about it is we're being forethoughtful about what we're going to run into in the future. Here, let's try a few things. So I think if it's okay, we started with one person. He spoke really great English, and he could be like a liaison. And then we orchestrated a hiring event with 18 folks. It ended up attritioning down to 14 people, which is normal. It's not 100% game in this business, I've learned. And so I was really pleased with that number. Then moving forward, after a couple of weeks, it turned into 12, and that's where we've held on for now a month. But we've also found some areas that we're lacking. So they need some drivers. So I've been shucking the boards, trying to find out where my English speakers are, even if they're not very good at English. The thing is, in Oklahoma, to pass a driver's test, you must be able to communicate effectively with the tester. It's kind of the checks and balances of our state, but I think it's most important to mention, for at least for this interview type situation, if COWIB would not have worked out the details of how to pay, for even just 6 weeks or up to 6 months, whatever that term is, depending on how many hours, I think that's really the best selling point of what COWIB does for the world and for Oklahoma. I just don't believe in doing double work, right? So, my position is a field of laziness, not on purpose. I just didn't want to do what someone was already doing effectively. Mm-hmm. So,
right, and Joe brings up the language, CPN teaching language as English as a second language to our Afghan refugees. We've also had employees approach us since this has happened, wanting to learn Dari and Pashto.
Absolutely, both directions.
How wonderful!
I don't know; it's very tough.
So we are actually looking for instructors to teach classes to both Americans and to the
because it works both ways, right?
That's right. It works both ways. Getting that done, and we also wondered what the fit would be, how it would feel bringing in refugees from another country and along with American workers, and it's just kind of meshed good. I think in a whole lot of ways. The Afghan refugees are teaching Americans about their work ethic, and the reverse side of that, the Afghans are finding out a lot about the American world and the way we work over in this country as well. So
yes,
it's been a
very educational,
good educational.
We have found that so the interesting part about my job is when we get excited and we get someone employed, right? You would want them to be there for any length of time. We're not thinking 5 years in advance. Maybe one meeting a month type thing. But the problem is that we had a large number of folks from, let's call it February until about June or July, who would get a job and they would work it for 3 days or a week. And then for whatever reason, either they didn't know how to call their supervisor, or they decided they needed to take some time off. They were tired. I know jet lag doesn't last 6 months, but sometimes it does with Ramadan and some of the other religious preferences that they choose. So not many people knew this, but when that ended in March, they had for 6 months been just up all night and sleep all day. That's how they do that religious. That's not the way that it's supposed to be done. It's just how they do it here in America because of our time being different. Mm-hmm. And so those little things to overcome and to just find the folks that are willing to go to work, right? Like right now, so let's say that we have 65 people still looking for work. I know that there are 10 folks in there that have driver's licenses, but the problem is their effort to get to Citizen Potawatomi Nation is going to let them have the keys to their vehicle, and you're going to bring that to Oklahoma City and then take it to work, right? And it's not just here, you're going to travel with all your people and bring them over here to Shawnee, but it's also, now that's your job, and we have Americans that are needing to get from location to location. It's brilliant, right? But I cannot figure out what the problem is. Like, it's not a tough job. You're not going to be sweating. The air conditioner's going to be going. And even the fact that it's almost Christmas, right? So there's not a busy town either. I mean, it's not like you're going to be stuck in New York or Dallas traffic. So I'm really struggling at finding some drivers, right? And that's I think on us. But it's because I'm only a liaison for the end user.
You know, I talked to our chef, who's in charge of our kitchens and our food and beverage departments over there. I tell you what, we've actually brought some of the refugees into our food and beverage department, and they are helping us in that area too, as far as teaching us new dishes,
new culture,
and new culture. And you know, the one thing I found out about the chairman and vice chairman of the tribe is that they want to work with us in how we employ our refugees. They are giving them the time for their
That's
religious
awesome.
purposes. And, you know, it helps the American worker in that, you know, most of us Americans don't like working weekends. Well, their days off with the refugees that happen to fall on, I believe, Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
So they work Saturday, Sundays. So those Americans are now able to not work.
That's right. So it's a good give and take.
Yeah, it is. It's a good give and take, and we've actually had some of our employees come thank us. For
that's
bringing
great news. That's huge.
That is great.
Yeah.
That is great. This is sounding like a really big success on both sides. Would you
For
say?
6 months, I mean, it's just a bunch of good stuff. You know, I mean, I think the planning is important. You know, it's really awesome. We don't want to overwhelm the generalists, you know, at the location. I can totally understand that. I don't want to onboard 20 people and for every 20, 10 are remaining, because that's a bunch of paperwork nobody needs to do.
See, Joe, I can tell you, my generalists are pretty aggressive. I mean,
They're very nice.
They are starting to overwhelm me by, you know, they'll put together these spreadsheets and you know, with names.
Oh, I know all about it.
They put the trades that these people are experienced in, and you know, so they're bringing a lot of experience to us. And,
But if
different
that's a
ways to-
testament to how great you are at the hiring of your people. I mean, if you didn't have the folks that were willing to go over and above what is the norm. I mean, the norm is, okay, they got a job and we checked a box, right? But the over and above, the good part of your job, like, is, well, we got this guy hired and he showed up for 5 weeks, but hey, man, this guy, I mean, he didn't just used to hold. A lot of our refugees in Oklahoma specifically were just in the Guard or in the Afghanistan Army. And those folks during the war were merely just centuries. They just stood somewhere. And many of them worked in special forces or explosives, and they love to tell you about that because that's a special delineation that they earned. But the problem is that, I mean, it's like here in Oklahoma. I mean, there's not a plethora of you know, doctors, or a plethora of I can't give another example. You know what I'm saying? But it's just we're average people. We need to pay the bills and we want to go to work. Mm-hmm. I think that's why they're getting along so well. You know, it's like
exactly.
It's an easy trade-off for their schedule, right? But it's certainly fun.
I think I'd get along with the general as well.
Oh yeah, greatest guy, right?
We put a general in charge who was a general. I guess a general.
He was
of special forces, and I think I'd want to get along with him.
I'm going to tell you something. So I knew from the moment that I met him that was the place to go, right? And it was not just, I couldn't sell him the job. I just said, you got to go out there.
Right.
And the funny thing is, the first time he couldn't get out there or something happened with the conflict, man, I mean, I went to the hotel and I waited in the parking lot and I said, don't worry, I'm going to follow you. Like, I'm making sure you're going there. You're going to drive your car, but I want to make certain you get to the place.
And I can tell you, we appreciate that.
Oh man, he's such a cool guy.
Oh, yeah,
and now his kids work there too.
His kids
He's
work
got
there?
older children that are working. This is the greatest thing, right? Like, they need to put that on an advertisement. I just found that out a couple of weeks ago.
This is generational changes that you guys are making.
They work there, but you know, in hiring the general, you know, I've learned that over the last 4 or 5 months that there's our American employees, you know, they've come to respect him as much as
I mean, I like the guy genuinely, you know, not just because I'm
great person.
You know what I'm saying? He's just a great dude, and he's got a big family, which to me is overwhelming. You know, like that would mess me up. You know.
You know, and Dana, as much as I hate to do this, I mean, you know, it's a program that I highly recommend to employers, you know, not only across Oklahoma, but everywhere, because
Absolutely.
you know, it's building relationships, it's helping you find great employees, people that work hard and want to work, and you know, that's what we as employers are looking for. Those people that want to work,
Yeah.
bring value to us.
It's really crucial to make certain that
Right.
your essence is right. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? I wish we could duplicate that. I mean, no, this is the truth. I wish we could duplicate this 4 or 5 more times, because I've spoken with our management about how we would handle that. I mean, we don't want to constantly be taking folks out of a trough full of unemployed, right? The objective is to catch up.
Right.
And I would like to see that, you know, we don't have anybody seeking work. And now our job as employment developers at Catholic Charities is, if you come to us and need help, we have a place we can suggest, or a plethora of places. But more importantly, if you're working and we helped you to get the job and you've earned some time there, the objective is that's not your forever job.
Yeah.
We want to move you into something better. And they're doing that at CPN. But I think we could do that we could all do that as a better job. You know?
Yeah. So Richard, from an employer's perspective, we talk a lot just from on COWIB side about hiring those hidden talent pools, those untapped talent pools. So from an employer perspective, then what would you suggest to other employers that are looking to hire these hidden untapped talent pools?
Well, since you all, COWIB has the ability to know where some of these hidden pools are, I would suggest contacting you all first.
Love it.
but also, you know, don't shy away from the things that you're told at COWIB, because like this, I had no earthly idea that we had these refugees out there looking for work. But then when you find them, you find, you know, we may be looking in one area thinking that refugees can come in and help us, and so maybe some unskilled labor, you know, because they don't know the American way of work. But what you find is you find people that out there that are highly skilled, that can come in and maybe train your staff in some of the things that they may need. You find people that can actually come in and take over jobs. You know, one thing we found, and once we got into this program, is we would show them or tell them one time how to do things, and boy, it was
They had it.
It was
Yeah.
done. I mean, you didn't have to worry about the job being done.
That's their value.
That's right.
You know, and you don't have to tell them 5 times.
That's right. I mean, you don't have to stand guard and make sure that you're doing what you're telling them to do. You go on about your business, come back and find out that what you've asked them to do has been done and well done. So, but yeah, involve COWIB, and again, listen to what they have to tell you, because if you don't, boy, you may miss out on something good for you
Absolutely.
and your business.
Well, any other things that you guys would like to include? Any other suggestions or comments?
I think it's really crucial to mention that, you know, COWIB's been around for a while. Like, this is not a new idea. This is not just in this administration kind of thing. The interesting part about it is that, you know, not a lot of people think of Oklahoma Employment Security Commission and how closely aligned you all are. I mean, it is next to the insurance building because they are kind of insurance, right? But, you know, there's a big value add. I think that because I've been on both sides of the fence here, so I've been unemployed and been trying to get, this was 20 years ago, but trying to get unemployment, right? And when you go through that process, you drag your feet and you're like, oh, I don't want to make a login on OK Job Match, and this is ridiculous. And no one checks that to look for employers or employees. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, 15 years later now, I am in the business, okay? And let's be clear, I hope yes, everyone needs a job, but the reason I work for Catholic Charities, we have a large number of people that, like, the language barrier is a problem. They have a mental health issue that is a problem. They need They need housing, the stability, and then they can get the medical care and attention they need. And then they're just as valuable, you know, as an Afghan who doesn't speak English or doesn't drive a car, right? It's amazing how many similarities we have to folks when you change your perspective to look at it a different way. And so that's what I would say from my perspective. I think that folks should really take a different look at what you all do here, because it's a huge value to our state.
Right, and Joe, I'm a product of this system. I mean, I come up from the old days of CETA and WIA and what was the other?
WIOA.
WIOA. I've come through all of those. As a boy, I worked in those programs. Taught me the value of work. It has helped me to get to where I am in the world of work today and in life. And you know, I've worked in all of those programs as well. I've worked with the OESC. I've been an executive director of a local workforce area. You know, so
that is such a tough job. It's overwhelming.
You know, and I continue to be in the people business, being the HR director of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, and it's all about helping people be successful. That's what you all do. That's what OESC does. That's what we're trying to do at the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, because if they aren't successful, ultimately we aren't either, and that's
Amen.
where we want to be. So.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciated your time today.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.